Hello and welcome back. Today is day 13 of our Thankful for 30 challenge. And today is all about bringing thankfulness to your relationships.
I know it's nothing new, but it's so good to see you.
So today I want to kind of dive a little deeper rather than just the obvious of bringing thankfulness to your relationships. I'm sure we can all kind of see where we're going with this, but I want to give you some just more specifics when it comes to those various relationships. You know, when I initially think of thankfulness to relationships, I immediately think of my relationship with my husband. But I don't just mean like a spouse relationship or a significant other. I mean to your children. I mean to your parents. I mean to your siblings. I mean to your coworkers. I mean to your best friends. I mean to your acquaintances. I mean to anyone that you run into at the grocery store or the gas station or wherever you are. I mean bringing thankfulness across the board. So this is kind of similar to in the video where we talked about, scrolling less, consuming less, and spreading more joy out into the world. This is kind of the same thing, but in person, like in actual personal, physical relationships with people that you're breathing the same air versus scrolling the same social media. So with this, yes, absolutely, when it comes to your spouse, and I do mean the spouse and the significant others as well, but I just mean in general. So when it comes to your significant other, for example, I can't tell you exactly how your significant other, thrives or best appreciates being appreciated, but you should know that, right? Hopefully you know that. And if not, what a great time to be talking about that with your spouse or your significant other to figure that out. I know with my husband specifically, he is someone who doesn't really care about words of affirmation. He doesn't really care about gifts. He doesn't really care about that sort of thing. He just wants to be respected. He wants you to show respect in the way that you talk, in the way that you treat him, in the appreciation that you give for the hard work that he puts in and day out. And as long as I am showing up in those ways, we're good to go. But it's when I'm lacking in those ways, which I'm human, I do that from time to time, that's where we tend to not get along, to be completely honest. So I could sit here and I could say, thank you all day long. And he's just like, yeah, sure, whatever. Or I can give gifts and those sorts of things. And he's like, nah, doesn't really matter to me. But as long as I am just being appreciative, talking kindly, showing that respect in that way, we're good to go. Now, vice versa, I love being appreciated with words of affirmation. That is big for me. So if I've cleaned the house or the dishes are done or the fridge is full of groceries or whatever, even though I know that my husband appreciates that, I still love hearing, hey, thank you for this. Hey, thank you for that. Hey, thank you. Being recognized for that. And I think that comes back to like my Enneagram 1 of like, all we ever want is just to be and to do good. And so I think that that's just something I really like. Even if I know that I've done well on something, knowing that someone else has noticed it is just something that that makes me feel really, really good and appreciated. So I know for me, that's a great way to support me or to show that on my end. When it comes to my parents or my siblings, they tick differently. When it comes to people I work with, same thing, so really taking the time to think about the different people in your life and how you can show up and show that appreciation, that gratitude towards them, and being more mindful and intentional with that. That is kind of my hope for you today, is to spend some time thinking about that. Now, yeah, not everybody is going to appreciate being told thank you. Some don't care about that. Not everybody is going to appreciate a gift that you give them. Some are going to be like, that's totally pointless. For me, I'm like, I don't need that. Like, please do not waste your hard-earned money on me. Like, I feel guilty if I receive a gift, but you can tell me thank you all day long and I will accept those, right? But other people love a gift and could care less about being told thank you, right? So everybody is different, but I do think if we can spend some time thinking about how our significant others, our parents, our siblings, our children, our closest friends, other family, if we can really think about how they are, accepting and feel the best, like when they really light up, how can we do that more in their lives? How can we show that more to one another? Could you imagine how much better and deeper relationships would be if we were showing up for those other people in our lives in the way that they best receive? Isn't that, I get kind of giddy, and I hope that that's making sense, but how cool would it be to take the time to think about others and then they in return do the same thing to one another? Our world would be such a better place. Family arguments would be less. Marital arguments would be less. Parent to child arguments would be less if we could show up and appreciate others in the way that they best like being appreciated. A lot of times what we will do though is we appreciate others in the way that we want to be appreciated. So for example, I am very, very good and quick to tell my husband, thank you for this and that and all the things, because I like that. But he doesn't necessarily care that much about being told thank you. Meanwhile, he wants to be shown all that respect. And of course I want to be shown that respect as well, but it's different. And so if I'm actually being mindful and intentional on making sure I'm showing him appreciation and thankfulness, I need to really pay attention to how I'm doing that for him in the way that he most accepts it and wants it, right? And vice versa. If he really wants to make me feel appreciated and just thankful for, he's going to tell me thank you. He's going to tell me, hey, I see you. I see that you've done that and I really appreciate that. And he knows that that's going to fill me up. Then let's switch over to like the stranger acquaintance type of situation. When it comes to that, obviously we don't know what strangers want. So you can never go wrong though with being polite, being kind, smiling at someone else, telling them thank you, and opening a door for somebody. Helping them if they've dropped something, making eye contact. I have seen studies that show just making eye contact with other humans and giving them, even if it's the smallest of smiles, can absolutely change. I think it like creates dopamine spikes in people, especially people who are sad, right? And how cool that you could be the person that delivers that smile, maybe the only smile that person received that day, maybe the only eye contact that person received that day, And so I just think, how neat would it be for us to start showing more thankfulness for every relationship that we have out there? Because technically, when you see someone at a grocery store, you may not have a close relationship, but you have now seen that person and you have even if it's a momentary relationship, you have that with that person. Maybe you're standing in line together and they have a child with them and the child is super sweet, or maybe the child is super cranky. That person might be so embarrassed and they may be like, oh my gosh, I hate that my child is throwing a fit right now, but it happens. Even just saying something like, hey, it happens, been there, like no worries, could be the thing that they're looking for. They could have had a really hard day. Maybe they're having a really hard time with their kiddo who's currently in a phase of throwing lots of tantrums. You could be that person that's basically showing them like, hey, we're not all annoyed with you and your child right now. We see you. We know this is a tough season of life. You're going to get through it. We've got your back. You know what I mean? So I just think if we could be so much more intentional, and honestly, a lot of this comes from getting off of our dang phones. When our noses are buried in phones, we are making no connections with other human beings. This person's looking at their phone. This person's looking at their phone. I don't know if you've ever gone to like the waiting room somewhere or grocery store or even just sitting at a stoplight. Look around and see the number of people that are staring at their phone. People don't have sidebar conversation much anymore, and they don't, just make eye contact. They don't smile at others, and it's just sad. Like I sound like I'm a 90-year-old woman, but I mean it. And maybe I am old at heart, but I'm here for that. Like I'm here for the conversations, which most people at this point, the only people that I'm having conversations when I'm out and about are the older generations, the people who aren't and don't have their noses stuck in their phone constantly, or children. Sometimes I'm sitting here talking to children too. So I just want to share that thought, share that hope with you. And hopefully I've kind of explained it well enough that you're like, you know what? Yeah, I could put my phone down more. I could have more connection with others, because another issue that our world is suffering with right now is loneliness. And loneliness comes from lack of connection, and lack of connection comes from us not making eye contact, us not smiling at one another, us being in our phone, on our phone constantly, and not just being aware of people and things around us. So I just think that this could be a really, really neat thing that we could all be a bit more mindful of, a bit more intentional with, and something that I feel like you'll feel better when you do it, both with your personal relationships and strangers. And you could change somebody else's like entire day, week, month, life, all by just simply being present in that moment and having a goal of showing and sharing more thankfulness to all the relationships within your day-to-day life. So that's what I've got for you today. I hope that you will spread that out into the world. I hope that it makes sense. And I don't know, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But I feel like this is just something that it just warms my heart just even thinking about it. So anyways, that's what I've got. We will see you tomorrow in the next video. See ya.